ojitos negros, cielito lindo de contrabando. De la Sierra Morena, cielito lindo, vienen bajando. Un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindo de contrabando. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. De tu casa a la mía, cielito lindo, solo hay un paso. Ahora que estamos juntos, cielito lindo, dame un abrazo. De tu casa a la mía, cielito lindo, solo hay un paso. Ahora que estamos juntos, cielito lindo, dame un abrazo. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. Ese lunar que tienes, cielito lindo, junto a la boca, no se lo des a nadie, cielito lindo, que a mí me toca. Ese lunar que tienes, cielito lindo, junto a la boca, no se lo des a nadie, cielito lindo, que a mí me toca. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones.
Yes, 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 yes. Good afternoon, folks. Good afternoon. This is where I am, but where you are, I hope that you're having a good time. And we are back for a brand new episode of the Cannon's SpodCast with your gracious host. Well, I'm the only person who's doing this in my crew. But the thing is, if you are watching, please grab your pen and paper. And again, before I start this show, I would like to apologize for that what happened last weekend. It was one of those bleeps, and if you guys are in the sports world, entertainment world, you should all be aware of this by now that yes, folks, it happened. The MGM was hacked in Atlantic City and Nevada and Las Vegas. A lot of people won over the last weekend. A lot of upset were made, and Las Vegas did not feel too happy about counting so much money on the back of bettors and odd makers that when you are very happy with wealth, you tend to let your guard down, folks. And when you lead your guards down, expect people to capitalize on your lack of awareness of not paying attention because I get it. You're too busy celebrating like sipping champagne, and somebody out there probably took that loss a little bit more serious than others think, and they retaliated against Las Vegas for losing, or Atlantic City for losing. But again, it's part of the game. It's what it is. And as you all saw last weekend, the scorelines were weird. The fight predictions were weird. It happened in this world, folks. But this weekend, like I told you guys, I have not made such a mistake like this since 2012 in my rookie season. But now this is my 10th and a half years doing this. I think I'm entitled to recover. I hope that I can hit a 100% mark this weekend. And let's get straight down to the business. Normally I do fight last. Today I want to do fight first because the English League is back and the other football leagues in Europe are back this week after the international break. I want to make sure that you guys are properly informed on the fight world first. Now, for boxing fans, you will not have any action this weekend. The big events will be on the 23rd, and of course, a big fight with Canelo Alvarez on September 30th. So, I have no big event for you, but again, don't forget that we still have a couple of bouts to close the month of September, which is the last summer months when it comes to boxing, especially when it comes to the fight either on on Mexico's Independence Day. You always have a Mexican fight. It's just like Cinco de Mayo. To close the summertime, you always have on September, whether it's from the 16th to the 30th. Always expect a big Mexican fighter to be fighting out there. And this year, you're gonna get Canelo Alvarez versus Jamal Charlo. But before we get to that fight, I would like you guys to be aware of the fight that's coming up on the 30th. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I giving you predictions for a fight that's gonna happen in 7 days from now or 14 days from now? Now, if you're going to build a parlay, don't forget that you can build your cards even this weekend. It doesn't mean you will not be able to cash out. If you do put the bet down for this weekend, I would advise you wait until it's fight night. But if you're hasty, you want to be ahead of time, you can place your parlay or whatever down and mix these sessions, and then so that way you can cash out after the fight is done. Because don't forget, you don't get paid until after the event is complete. If it's postponed, you will get a message from the people you deal with. Don't tell people your business. I'm just giving you advice on how to do this proper. Now, for the fight, for the big event, we have here on September 23rd in Wembley at the OVO Arena. Shout out to Drizzy in Toronto. But OVO, as you guys know, they don't just do music, they do everything. If you see the little logo with the owls, that's the OVO signals. And these guys, they in the UK, they do everything from sports, and they're gonna use the Wembley venue to host a big fight on the September 23rd on TNT Sports. We have the British pound for pound sensation heavyweight Joe Joyce, the Juggernaut. He will step in the ring against. This is for the second fight. They already fought in the first fight, and the big man from Beijing, Zile Big Bang Theory, Zhang. He will be defending the WBO interim heavyweight world championship title. Time slot, if you're in the East Coast, to make this fight or to place your wagers will be between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. next Saturday. If you're in Las Vegas or on the West Coast, it'll be at 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's Western, that's Pacific time in the West. Again, 11 a.m., 3 p.m. East, 2 p.m., 6 p.m. Again, this fight will be between Joe, the Juggernaut Joyce, who lost his interim WBO in their last encounter in the first fight, against his opponent, the same guy he fought against, Zile Big Bang Theory Zhang. They will tussle in this highly anticipated rematch for the WBO interim welterweight heavyweight championship. Folks, do not miss it. Now, if you ask me for my opinion, if it is needed, for who's going to be the winner of this bout, there is a saying in heavyweight boxing. I don't know about the other divisions, but in heavyweight boxing, we always say this. If a guy gets your number once, he'll do it again in the second match. So if you want to place your bet now or wait until the fight starts next weekend, I would strongly advise you put the money on Zile Big Bang Theory Zhang. Height advantage, power. That's how he beat him the last time. And then, of course, in the clinch, he mugged him. And Joe George don't like being mugged, but unfortunately, he's gonna use that same tactic again. Sorry about that, Wembley fans. I have to go with what I see here and the reality of the outcome that's about to happen next weekend. And I can only see this going one way. Zile Zhang holding his hand up and retaining his WBO interim heavyweight world championship. It's an interim belt because why? We all know that Usyk and Tyson Fury, these guys have the real belts, and these guys have to wait to see what happened between Usyk and Tyson Fury. Now, moving on to the fight of September 30th, that's going to make the events here in North America. This is a fight that I'm going to pay attention to personally because I have my fighter, Terence Bud Crawford, who I strongly advise to leave Nebraska and make it to Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena to watch this match first row seat because why? You may face either one of these two guys either earlier next year or around the same time next year, and that will be the fight for Canelo Alvarez versus Jamal Charlo. Yes, Charlo, you and your brothers, the twins. You guys know I'm a big Terence Bud Crawford fan, and I've been wanting a piece of the Charlo brothers for the last 3 years. Yes, folks, we want a piece of the Charlos brothers, but as contract was signed 6 months ago, Canelo Alvarez, the arguably pound for pound, next to my fighter Terence Bud Crawford, on top of the Mount Rushmore of welterweight boxing, will be putting his super middleweight belt on the line here on September the 30th. El Pequeño León, the little lion, will put the belts on the line. Canelocito versus Jamal Charlo. Now, if you ask me who I should pick for this fight, by the way, folks, this one will be at 8 p.m. Pay-per-view time 11:50 p.m. for the East Coast, and then if you're in Las Vegas or California, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's the local time there. Go with Canelo Alvarez for this fight because Canelo Alvarez has fought the likes of Floyd Mayweather Jr., Miguel Cotto, these guys, and you cannot succumb to more pressure than fighting the great ones. Puerto Rican legend Miguel Cotto, American legend Floyd Mayweather from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Canelo has faced the best of the best. If it wasn't for Floyd Mayweather in the past decade, I would say that Canelo is the pound for pound along with Terence Bud Crawford. But you two have your works cut out for you this week and the next 2 weeks when you fight each other because Terence Crawford is pound for pound, but now the world is recognizing him as pound for pound. It was always Errol Spence that was regarded as the top dog. Now we have dethroned Errol Spence, and now you got Canelo facing Jamal Charlo. Folks, this fight can only go one way. 12 round decisions, and I'm giving 8 to 6 rounds on the back end of the first half. So that means from round 1 to round 6, I'm expecting Canelo to tactically study Charlo because Charlo is the bigger fighter with the bigger frame. But Canelo should learn from the Bivol fight to recover. And I'm expecting a solid 8-round performance from Canelo Alvarez. 12-round fight. There will not be any stoppage. I expect this to go full 12 round, and I expect Canelo to win by decision to retain the belt. So that way, if he beats Charlo, we can have us mega fight, that big super fight like the one Roberto Duran had against Sugar Ray Leonard Jr. in Montreal and Louisiana. And I forget the other venue that had that fight. I think it was in Las Vegas at the Caesars Palace in the open arena. So in order for Terence Bud Crawford to get the fight, Canelo have to get past Jamal Charlo. Because if he beat Canelo Alvarez, because that's a big if, because I'm only giving him 4 rounds for that fight, I'm expecting Canelo to activate the rematch clause. If you want, he's entitled to do so after a decade of dominance. I'm expecting him to do that. But if he wins against Jamal Charlo, he can automatically reject his rematch clause to fight Terence Bud Crawford for the mega fight that we're all waiting for. So I'm hoping for Canelo to win this one here because I have big plan when it comes to Terence Bud Crawford to fight only the best of the best. Folks, he's only 35 years old and he's not getting any younger in the world of boxing. That's a granddad age if you're in the world of boxing here. So I have to pick Canelo for 12 rounds decision. Now we are done with boxing. MMA fans, I didn't forget about you. Don't forget that this weekend, for those of you who are not very fond with Mexican culture, Every 16th of September, they celebrate the Independence Day, and the UFC, thanks to Dana White, of course, who put the cards together. T-Mobile Arena, this Saturday, UFC, there is your fight. Ladies, you will witness history when Alexa, la reina del octagon, the queen of the octagon grosso, from Guadalajara, Mexico, face Valentina the Bullet Shiva Shevchenko from Kyrgyzstan, Bishkek. And this raised, also trained in Peru and South America. The age of the two fighters, Grosso is 30 years old, younger to Bullet Valenchenko, who's 35 years old at 125 pounds. A height reach advantage, similar. 5'5" on both sides, 125 pounds on both sides, 165 centimeter if you use the metric system. Now, for the advantage, if you ask me for tomorrow night, if you're gonna make your bet, 4 KOs favors Grosso, even though she's a wrestler, grappler, and then is very good with the submission. Her boxing is crisp. And when it comes to the other side, Buletchenko, 8 knockouts. And if you watch the ladies fight in the UFC, I don't have to explain to you how good she is at Taekwondo, Karate, and Muay Thai. And when it comes to throwing strikes, very unpredictable. It's like combining Wonderboy Thompson with the striking skills of Israel Adesanya and then using the boxing of Junior Chigano dos Santos from Brazil. Put all that in one. You get Valentina Shevchenko. And then, if you want wild strikes, she throw them like Charles Crazy Horse Bennett's. For those of you who fight the old MMA ring circle of the what used to be that name of the league, the Fighting Championship, Charles Crazy Horse Bennett's. If you're a young UFC fan, you don't know who that is. But if you're old MMA fans, you should know who that is. Charles Crazy Horse Bennett's. In other words, strikes will be unpredictable. So I strongly advise Miss Alexa Grosso to do the following if you want to win this fight. Start shooting round 2 or in the midst of rounds 2 to see if Valentina been practicing a takedown defense, because that's the only chance you're gonna have when it comes to striking against Valentina. If you go for all 5 rounds on your feet, you're gonna get embarrassed, and just like Sean O'Malley did Aljamain Sterling a couple of weeks back, you're gonna face the same embarrassment, and she will have her arm raised as the new 125-pound champion. Now to summarize, Grosso have a record of 16 wins and 3 losses. Valentina have a record of 23 wins and 4 losses. Don't forget she's been champion before, and she know how to how to face the storm when it comes to going all 5 rounds, especially after round 3, round 4, and round 5, and the championships rounds. So I expect the experience to be with Valentina Shevchenko. But if Alexa Grosso, if she does the following again, in the middle of round 2 to round 5, follow DC Cormier's recipe. Shoot, shoot. That's what wrestlers do. You shoot for the takedown. No matter, relentlessly shoot for 3 rounds, 3, 4, and 5 if you want to keep your belts. And as for the co-main event, we have Kevin Holland fighting Jack Della Maddalena. And I'm not gonna go in depth with this one. If you follow MMA, this one should be an easy pick. Do not disrespect the fighter. I'm expecting Jack Della Maddalena to step up to challenge Kevin Holland, but knowing that this guy is a savage when it comes to his strikes, I have to go with Kevin Holland on this one here. 6'3", 170 pounds, fighting out of Phalanx MMA's academy. Born in United States, Fort Worth, Texas. This guy's coming off a 2-fight winning streak against Santiago Ponzinibbio and Michael Chiesa. Submission was round 1 in the last fight at 291, and then 287 with a KO round 3. This guy's a finisher, whether it's submitting or just knocking you out senseless. I expect him to win this fight with a TKO stoppage, but within round 3. No disrespect to his opponent, Jack Della Maddalena from Australia, Perth, Australia to be precise. Younger fighter, 27 years old, 5'11". Look at this, folks. 5'11 versus 6'3". Now, I have learned from my mistake last weekend when I was watching the big Russian fought against Bam Bam and to Volkov. To avoid this mistake, go with Kevin Holland. Superior striking power, 6'3" versus 5'11". He's gonna have a tough time to reach the chin unless you want to fight the Mike Tyson way, which is stay close to the opponent so you can go for short hooks like Joe Frazier. But sadly, even though he have a winning streak of 4 matches, that would be for Madalena. He has beaten Ramazan Emzrev, Danny Roberts, Randy Brown, Basil Hafez, TKO, TKO, submission, decisions. And these fighters he beat, they are what you call feed me fighters, no disrespect. It's like fighters you put against the opponent, the young bull, to test to see how the prospect is gonna do when he start facing like big names. And Jack, you're gonna face Kevin Holland, who's faced some big names already. Like his most notable loss was against Stephen Thompson, Wonder Boy, in a TKO, round four. He's a gunslinger. Not because he's from Texas, no pun intended. This kid like to take risk, even though he's built not to take risk. At 6'3", if you have that kind of striking, you're supposed to create distance with your jab, whether you're punching or kicking. But he's a wild dude, so I expect this fight not to make it to round three. In favor of Kevin Holland, height advantage will be a big factor, especially when he start applying his multi kicks and high flying knees and sharp elbows. So I have to go with Kevin Holland here. Again, put the money on Kevin Holland. TKO before round three, and then if you're watching the ladies main event, Alexa Grosso, I expect you to beat Valentina if you do takedowns. If you don't, Valentina will beat you for 5 rounds, dominate you with ease, with sensational strike you never seen before. And now we are done with the combat world. On this side, let's get straight to college football. And I will not give you 3 games for each divisions. I will give you, remember I told you when I do this, you're gonna get two games from each division or 3 games. And if I feel like I'm about to fail, I will give you guys only 2 games to put down. Let's begin with the ACC to not make you wait. But before I do, 48 hours prior, I give you guys a line for Bethune University or Bethune University, who was supposed to play against the Miami Hurricane. Shout out to the U, shout out to the Rock. If you smell what Miami was cooking the other night, smoking the Bethune University, leaving them cooked in their own mess, 48-7, covered the spread. Well, you outdid it by 10 more extra points, Miami Hurricane. So I told you guys, these guys stood no chance. I gave them absolutely zero chance for a reason, because I know what you were about to face, and well, you've been baptized, bro. But folks, we are at the holy tabernacle of college football. In all humility, I come before you today on some Paul Heyman business. I'm addressing the Texas Longhorn fans. Yes, you know who you are. You were roasting us the other day. Cálmate, por favor. Calma, calma, calma. Because why? You guys face Wyoming this weekend. And I'm hoping that Wyoming can shock the world like Texas Longhorns shocked us last weekend. So let's begin without further ado. When it comes to your ACC, we have the highly ranked by the national poll on the top 25, Florida State, at 12 p.m. in the afternoon tomorrow on ABC, and Massachusetts with a record of 2-0, facing the record 1-1 Boston College. Folks, this one will be very simple. Go with Florida State University. I expect a big game from Jordan Travis. Last games combined, 517 yards altogether, 6 touchdowns so far, only 1 interception. Go with Florida State. Mark it down with me. To avoid the nonsense, I'm going to put this before your camera here. Go like this. Florida State. Florida State, please do not play around. Go with Florida State University to beat Boston College and Massachusetts. The money line will be spread minus 25.5 in favor of Florida State. Over and under will be 47 points between the two teams. Now, if you ask me how to do this one here, I would strongly advise that you go with the spread they're giving you at minus 24.5. Buy some points to reduce it down to 23 or 20. W, flatline winner here, Florida State, of course. Overall and under 47 points. Oh, please stick to minus 24.5 and buy some points. Over and under 47 points between the two teams. I would buy points for less. I'm expecting a 45 points or 40 points between the two teams. Defensively, in the third quarter and the second half, this will be a tight affair. But for W, close your eyes. Bet your own children if you have to for Florida State to beat Boston College. There is no way Boston College can beat this Florida State University team. And I am putting my index down on this very table. There is no way BC College can beat Florida State. I'm not being cocky, folks. It's just what it is when it comes to the algorithm. And then in the ACC, your last game of the weekend, I have Florida Atlantics at 8 p.m. with a record of 1-1, heading down to Clemson, also with a record of 1-1. This game will be in Clemson University. They will make my father proud, and I know Clemson will win this one. And same spread. Vegas want to trick you guys, minus 24.5. Overall and under 51.5. I'm expecting Clemson to do the overall and under between the two teams, 51.5. And I'm expecting Clemson to beat this team at minus 25 to minus 30 points to cover the spread. To not lie to you, I'm going to put a little arrow here to point you to that particular game. Watch where my fingers are, folks. Pay attention to my fingers. And this is how I want you to place the bet wherever you're watching all over the world. Place it just like this. Look at the bottom here. Put minus 25 or minus 30th Clemson University to beat the spread. Now moving on to the Pac-12, we have UTEP Miners with a record of 1-2 against Arizona Wildcats. The same team I picked last weekend to shock Mississippi State. And now they're playing at home. I have them at 91.1% ratio, Wildcats to win the game. I'm going to give you key factors here. Those are fun facts you can play with. According to history, this is the 14th straight win Arizona have had against this team. And it's about to be 15th after this weekend. Now, Arizona, I'm expecting that same performance that you gave against Mississippi State. If this is the same team that show up, smooth sailing for Arizona Wildcats fans, minus 18.5. Me, I'll advise you guys plus 18.5. Very tricky, huh? This is why I'm here for you guys. Folks, put the money, if you like the underdog, on the UTEP Miners. Watch this. This is the trick. Minus 18.5. Vegas and Atlantic City would like Arizona Wildcats to win. Fair. Now, if you want to go with the shocker, the same way Arizona pulled the underdog, lost, and still covered the spread against Mississippi State, this time I'm going against them at 11 p.m., picking UTP Miners to go plus 18.5 against Las Vegas's odds, against Atlantic City's odds at 20% to cover the spread plus 18. That means they will lose the game, but I don't expect them to lose by 18.5. I have to go with the underdog. Pick UTEP Miners to cover the spread. With a record of 1-2 and Arizona 1-1, I expect the world to be shocked. Jaws will be dropped this weekend. 2 more divisions to go. Let's now move to the Big Ten. Oh yes, the Big Ten. Now we have the divisional ranked team Penn State with a record of 2-0, and the Nittany Lions play against Illinois with a record of 1-1. Now don't forget that Penn State is ranked in the division 7th, and this will be a Big Ten divisional affair at the Champaign Arena Stadium at Illinois. Folks, go with Penn State minus 14.5, over and under 48.5. Penn State, I expect them to win this game, beat the spread to minus 15, and over and under 48.5. Look how I'm doing this for you guys. Look again, follow my fingers. Look at this. Please look at this carefully before you place your bets. so you don't make the mistake that happened last weekend. Watch this closely. Watch this. Watch this. Boom. And now at 4 p.m. This game, Penn State, Illinois, will be at 12 p.m., folks. If you can make it on time, you don't have to be there physically. You can place your bets ahead of time, like right now, if you want. And then you sit back and count your money. That's what I'm here for, to make you money, folks. And like I said, if you guys want extra, bring me a check. Now, at 4 p.m., in that same division, we have Western Kentucky with a record of 2-0 versus the Ohio State. Oh, boy. The big dogs, ranked number 4 overall in the nation, ranked 6 overall in the nation, the Ohio State. The spread will be, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr. They have to go with that. Minus 30th. Me, I put 70% chance Ohio State will cover that spread. Ohio will smoke Western Kentucky. And I hope you guys lay off the bourbon before you face Ohio State, because it will not be an easy ride. And I expect nothing but a fashionable Ohio State statement, 2-0 to go 3-0. Somebody's O has got to go, and it will be Kentucky's, especially in the fourth quarter when Marvin Harrison start blowing your coverage. I expect you guys go triple or double coverage on Marvin Harrison Jr. because Ohio State, mark my word, folks, will cover this minus 30 spread 70%. I'm saying this. I'm going to mark it down to make sure that you guys laugh at me if I lose. I'm going to watch this, I'm going to put my finger here. Minus 70%. I expect the Ohio State not to embarrass me this weekend to cover this magnificent spread that Las Vegas has put before us. Now, in that same division, we're going to stay in the same division for the Big Ten. We have highly ranked in that division, Washington State, heading to my Michigan Spartans. If you notice, I did not mention them over the last 2 weeks because I want Michigan Spartans to handle the Smokes and weather the storm quietly in the background while Michigan Wolverines get all the attention. Oh yes, let them get all the attention and the glory that they deserve, because I know that if things go sideways, they will remember the Spartans once again, just like Denzel Washington and his Spartans. The spread will be minus 16.5, overall and under 56 points. Me, I would say 50 points Michigan Spartans, Michigan State Spartans. I expect you guys to go 3-0. You're playing at home. I expect you guys to struggle a little bit to cover that minus 16.5. And if you guys love college football like I do, I would advise for you guys to buy points if you support Michigan State Spartans. Normally, I was supposed to give you 2 games. I'm giving you this one as a bonus to make sure that the people remember the Spartans, that they are still there, folks. It's just that they're quiet. This year, all the attention is going to Michigan Wolverines. And last but not least, the SEC, my conference, where my Alabama traveled to South Florida, ranked 10th. Mr. Milrow, I expect you to recover. I will not cover this game on purpose because Alabama embarrassed me last weekend. And because of this, I'm going to look over that game. I expect you to beat South Florida by more than 20 points in that game. But my focus is on game number 1. LSU, Louisiana State University, ranked number 14th overall in the nation with a record of 1-1. Spreading is minus 5. I expect LSU to cover that spread against Mississippi State University with a record of 2-0. Please go with LSU, but buy points. I expect a big game from LSU, especially your quarterback Jaden Daniels. If you ask me, go with a straight W here. LSU should beat Mississippi State and Mississippi State. And my spread will be minus 9.5. If you buy 3 points, put it by a touchdown, minus 7.5 or minus 7. Go with LSU for the W here. And then the last game in the SEC, the game of the weekend if you follow Southern football. Tennessee Volunteers ranked 11th in the SEC, 2-0 record against the Gators of Florida, 1-1 SEC affair, and Florida at Gainesville, Alligators Croc. I expect the Gators to shock the world by beating Tennessee with a plus 5.5. Even if they lose, they will give you guys some money because they want Tennessee to beat the Gators minus 5.5. Me, underdog all the way. Why? I don't follow what they put before me. I go by what I know about the team, and I know that the Florida Gators has never struggled for more than field goals, touchdowns, perhaps over the last 5 years, and they will find a way to pull this one, even though they no longer have Trask as their quarterback now, who's playing at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the pros. I'm expecting Florida Gators to defend their ground and stand up to the LSU Tigers blitz in the third quarter and the second quarter. Therefore, I don't know how the fourth will be decided, but when it comes to the second quarter and the third quarter, I'm expecting a big fight from the Gators here, and this will cause them to upset the lines plus 5.5, and there it is when it comes to NCAA football affairs. Don't forget the NFL. I cannot give you the NFL will need a show by itself for me, and I don't like doing shows on Saturday mornings because I don't like to wake up earlier to do shows, and I don't even like to wake up earlier these days to watch football play because, like I told you guys, Arsenal give me nothing so far yet to cheer them to wake up in the morning to watch. So, with football being back in the European League, that is Premier League, French League, Italian League, Spanish League, and the German League, we already had a game today where Paris Saint-Germain was already beaten by Nice, the French team from the Côte d'Azur, the big money boys, 3-2. And Mbappe scored twice for Paris Saint-Germain, and that was not enough. PSG was defeated. And folks, this is one tip I'd like to give you guys. Whenever international games are on in football or on a 2-week sabbatical, this is something I learned from my little brother. He always say this: never bet on football right after international breaks because players might be injured. Something might have happened over these 2 weeks of hiatus. Don't forget, it's the very first one of the season. So I'm going to be very picky on how I give you a prediction this weekend. And I'm not going to give you 3 games out of each. I'm going to dissect 1 or 2 games from each division before I close the show today to make sure that you get your bets precise. Don't forget, Paris Saint-Germain, who's supposed to be the big dog, already been beaten today, 3-2. Bayern Munich drew Bayer Leverkusen, who I told you guys was going to challenge him for the title this year, already on the table in the top 5. Leverkusen is the top of Bayern Munich, who's now in second place, tied neck and neck. Goal difference is only 8-7, 1 point, one goal difference, 10 points, 10 points. As I predicted, Granit Xhaka, I told you guys that Granit Xhaka would cause major problems in Germany this year, and his team, fair enough, is top of the table above Harry Kane of Tottenham. Oh, should I say ex-Tottenham? Even in Germany, folks, the Arsenal is still above Tottenham Hotspur. Hallelujah, hallelujah. After the international break, they drew today 2-2, neck and neck. And the score was Harry Kane for Bayern Munich, of course. Leon Goretzka, the best central defensive midfielder in Europe, scored for Bayern Munich against Bayer Leverkusen, where Grimaldo and Palacio scoring the penalty to tie Bayern. And that's all we had for today's games. Now let's head on for tomorrow. Now, I'm going to start with the English Premier League, and I'm going to do the other teams after. Now, we have Wolverhampton heading to Anfield. Let me see 1 second. Let me look at the venue one more time. I want to make sure I get this right. Folks, it will be at Wolverhampton. I have to flip the scoreboards because now we're talking about European football. Liverpool will travel to Wolverhampton tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. If you ask me, for my prediction on this one, guaranteed in that game, Núñez will score for Liverpool. I would go with Liverpool to win this game. Scoreline, I cannot give you a scoreline for this game. Don't be too cocky because Liverpool's been scoring high lately, like 3-0, 2-1, 3-1. But facing Wolverhampton, they've been on form. And the last 3 games, they lost to Crystal Palace 3-2. A tight affair. It was at Palace. They won at home 5-0, and that was against Blackpool. And a comfortable win for Wolverhampton. And then they beat Everton. But we're talking about home games. I'm not gonna focus on games they had away. Only home games. So the last two home matches here, team form: four loss to Brighton at home, and a three loss and a 5-0 win against Blackpool. You're gonna face Liverpool, and Liverpool don't care about you playing at home. And I expect Liverpool to beat you guys 3-1 or for the W. And I expect Nunes to score in that game. Mohamed Salah will probably have a hard time, but even him, I expect him to be on the scoring sheet. So go with Liverpool, straight W, 3-1, 3-1 or a 1-0 Liverpool. 2-0, highly unlikely. I'm expecting the Wolves to put up a fight, but in the end, guarantee Liverpool will deliver for you guys. Then we have, let me see here, Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. Folks, I bought this game. Do not touch this game with a 10-foot pole. Avoid this game at all costs. Just watch it for pure entertainment. Do not risk your money on this one here. Guaranteed victory tomorrow morning in the Premier League. Fulham versus Luton. Easy win. Fulham guaranteed 100%. I expect you guys to beat Luton. They have zero experience in the Premier League over the last 30 years. Come on, Fulham. And then we have Manchester United versus Brighton. The reason I'm giving you all this game is because this is the Premier League. I have to make sure I give you everything on the menu here. Manchester United versus Brighton. Folks, go with Brighton Albion. +1, +2 to shock Manchester United in their own stadium at 10 a.m. tomorrow. The same time as the Aston Villa game. Brighton, Brian Ferguson. Remember that name, folks. Ferguson, this kid who started for Brighton Albion. Remember that name. That's all I have to say. Remember that name. And then we have Tottenham versus Sheffield United. Easy win for Tottenham Hotspurs. I will close my eyes, remove my glasses. I'm expecting nothing but a big game from Heung-min Son, a big game from Richarlison, and a big game from Madison. It's a son affair, and I expect both the sons, Madison and Heung-min Son, to deliver against Sheffield United, son. And I expect nothing but a Tottenham victory at 10 a.m. And then we have Manchester City versus West Ham United. Folks, it's Manchester City. I'll let you figure this one out. And then we have Newcastle United versus Brentford at St. James's Park at 12:30, the game of the afternoon. Folks, go with Brentford for the shocker. You expected me to say Newcastle United, huh? No way in hell. I will not go with Newcastle United. I'm going with Brentford FC to shock the world. +1, +2 at St. James's Park in the Cathedral to shock the world, to pull an underdog. Even if they lose 2-1, 3-2, 1-0, I am picking Brentford. I am not picking Newcastle United. You guys have disappointed me in your last match. And since you are not on form, 2-1 loss against Liverpool at home, 1-0 loss against Manchester City away, 3-1 loss against Brighton Albion, and guess who was the culprit, folks? Ferguson scored a brace against Newcastle United. So I'm expecting a team like Brentford FC, who got nothing to lose, to show up and disrespect Newcastle United in their own backyard. And I'm expecting a big game from the following Brentford FC players. In the midfield, I'm expecting a big game from Matthias Jensen. I'm expecting a big game from Saman Gedos. And in the striking core, I'm expecting a big game against Wane Visa, the ball-headed one from the Congos. And I'm expecting a big game from the Cameroonian Brian Mbueno. These two will be a nightmare for Newcastle United to handle. Therefore, I have to give it to Brentford for the shocker. In the other leagues, and my second favorite league in the world, Il Calcio or Le Classique, Il Classico de Serie A, we have Juventus at home against Lazio. Go with Lazio, folks, to shock. This game will be a small scoreline, 1-1, 1-0, 2-1 affair. Go with the underdog Lazio. The Romans will come to Turin and they will shock Juventus even if they lose 2-1. Inter Milan, the favorite team to win the Il Clasico this year. Me, I go with Milan to win the league this year, but they want Internazionale to be the favorite at 55%. I would go for this game with AC Milan. It's a derby game. Normally, I don't do derby games because too much emotions, but if you want to put the money down for who should win the game, AC Milan will shock the world by beating Internazionale with a boring scoreline 1-0. These two share the same stadium. They do not like each other. It's a rivalry game between the two. And their last encounters, head to head, Inter Milan beat AC Milan on May 16th, 2023. Was it 1-0? And they have beaten them prior 2-0 in the Giuseppe Meazza, or the San Siro if you will. But overall, for this weekend's bout, Inter Milan will be playing at home, even though it's the same stadium they share it together since its foundation. Against Milan, 1-0 and 1-0. So it's a boring 1-0. So go with AC Milan here to win the game 1-0 or shock the world with the spread +1 AC Milan. I'm expecting Pulisic to show up, Rafael Leao, and of course the guaranteed man to score in that game, Olivier Giroud. La 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 la. You still an Arsenal player to me, and I'm expecting AC Milan to win this game or lose +1 or +2 by a small margin because I expect you to be the favorite team to win the league this year. You did sign the players like Loftus-Cheek, the Tamori guys, all these Chelsea players you have at your disposal now, and I'm expecting a big game from AC Milan. Do not disappoint me, eh? All right. And then for the game between Napoli and Genoa, folks, go with Napoli, guaranteed victory. This one will be at 2:45. You are the defending reigning champion of Il Calcio. I expect you to go to Genoa and make a statement. 2-0, 3-1 Napoli. Vivelo. Do it for me and do it for Don Diego Armando Maradona. Victor Osimhen, I'm expecting a big game from you, okay, big guy. In La Liga tomorrow, we have Valencia versus Atletico Madrid. This one I highly recommend to stay away from. We have Barcelona versus Real Betis. Folks, Barcelona will win this game. If you ask me to select the winner between these two, underdog Real Betis +1, +2 at 3 p.m. And Ligue 1. For tomorrow, I will not touch any games in Ligue 1, but I will migrate swiftly to the Bundesliga. We have FC Cologne versus Hoffenheim, but the game I focus on is Borussia Dortmund versus Freiburg. Hello, Ruben Korenke, if you're in Freiburg watching. We went to high school together, but sadly, my friend, at 9:30 a.m., your team will suffer defeat against Borussia Dortmund. I expect a 2-0 victory for Dortmund or a 3-1 victory for Dortmund against Freiburg. Now, on Sunday, folks, in the Premier League, we have the Arsenal, my football club, versus Everton. Whatever Mikel Arteta is selling you guys, don't buy. Go with Everton +1, +2 against the Arsenal. Yes, I'm expecting Arsenal to win, but this is Goodison Park. I'm expecting Arsenal to struggle against Everton or even beaten by Everton. So the score, before I talk nonsense, let me give you the last 5 encounter against these two teams at Goodison Park. 1-0 Everton on February 2023. July 16, 2022, Arsenal skim a victory against them 2-0. But prior to that, on December 6, 2021, Everton was the same team that beat Arsenal 2-1 at their own stadium. So I'm expecting Everton to fight Arsenal tooth and nail, hammer and tongue, for 90 minutes, and the advantage favors Everton, the Toffees, +1, +2. Again, Arsenal, I want you to win. You're my club. I'm expecting nothing from you for a victory, but I know how you guys do when you play Everton in their own stadium. Therefore, I have to go with Everton. And as for Chelsea, who will play on Sunday morning first at 9 a.m. against Bournemouth, It would be a complete embarrassment if you lose against Bournemouth, if you draw against Bournemouth. I'm expecting Chelsea to win this game by all means necessary. You spent the money, you got the players you asked for. What is holding you back? I have no idea. So I expect you guys to step up and represent London tomorrow at 9 a.m. on Sunday, 2 days from now. In the Serie A, on Sunday we're gonna have AS Roma versus Empoli. And they came back in the league this year. Roma, Jose Mourinho, you have been warned. You have to deliver for the people from the city of Julius Caesar. As for the game of the weekend, if you ask me in Il Calcio, beside the AC Milan versus Internazionale game, we have Fiorenza versus Atalanta. Well, they go by their real name, Fiorentina, but their name was Fiorenza. So Fiorenza versus Atalanta, folks, go with Atalanta as the underdog, +1, +2 Atalanta. Even though they're traveling to Florence, I'm expecting Atalanta to be the underdog to shock the world with a +1, +2 record. And then in Spain, we have El Mejor Equipo del Mundo, the best team in the world. Los Galácticos, the Giants, the Starliners. Real Madrid will be at home against Real Sociedad. Sorry, Kieran Tierney. I know it's your first time playing Real Madrid from Arsenal, but Hala Madrid all the way. And guaranteed scorer in that game, again, numero 5, Jude Bellingham. And there is a rumor that Vinicius will not be available. And I'm expecting Vinicius not to be in that game, folks. He'll be out. But don't forget, Jude Bellingham been on a tear. Okay, in all 5 competition, top 5 scorer. And Sociedad is ranked 4th in the league. They have not lost in 7 matches. But tomorrow you will lose against Real Madrid. I say tomorrow, but on Sunday you will lose. Sorry. Madrid is ranked 1st in the league. You rank 9th. 12 points ahead of you. You have 6 points. Madrid will beat you. I'm sorry, and I apologize in advance. It's just that Real Madrid have your numbers. So there it is, folks. That's all I have on my prediction when it comes to football. There will be games on Monday. If you follow in the Premier League, Nottingham Forest will play Burnley. I will go with Nottingham Forest on Monday. And in Italy, you have Salernitana versus Torino. And then you have Hellas Verona versus Bologna. But, folks, we focus on the weekend's big game. So that's all we have for you guys. Please bet responsibly. Do not do anything stupid this weekend. Please follow the lines. Go online to those sites, get your information, and spread the word if you follow this podcast, and share. And if you got comments to make comments. And that's all I have for you guys. And just to further celebrate Mexican Independence Day weekend, and as we sip on this Fantastico from Havana here, we love the rums. And if I have like famous drinks that I get, and they do good work for me, and I'll make sure that you guys get their name, so that way if you go to your favorite store, hey, bye, I guess. So that's all I have for today, folks, and let me leave you guys with a little Mexican rap. 1 second.
like chanclazos, deep like fregadazos. Still got the coke and rum and flex the brazos. Then I hit you from a different angle. Lake Sweet, cheap shot, bird shit, straight cop. Soy el buen pistolero, guerrero, don't be afraid of that. A matter of fact, I got like 10,000 maniacs in the crowd on a very good night. But keep it hype for a fraction of that. To get the fatty like that. Throw